I'm Rebecca with the Nocturnal. How are you?
I'm great. And yourself?
I'm breathing, I'm living, I can't complain.
That's awesome.
So let's start with my first question. Your song Dear Alcohol has a lot of emotions. So can you explain to me your personal connection to the song and the concept behind it as well?
My personal connection to Dear Alcohol. So I started drinking when I was 17. I grew up in Ottawa, Canada, but was born in Newfoundland. And I was like, pretty much my whole time I was trying to get out of Canada to play basketball because I started playing basketball when I was 11, found a law of attraction, long ass crazy story.
Mhm.
So I get to 17, I hadn't partied at all. I was really outside of the spectrum of whatever was popular in high school. I was just focused on basketball. So when I was 17, I decided, okay, I'm going to go to my first party. I think it was like halfway through the year. Like might have been like a St. Patrick's, or I don't know what it was. I think it was around like March 11th. So I was like, you know what? The first time I drink, I want to be alone because I don't want to be influenced by any outside sources. I actually want to see what this does to me and how it feels. I'm just a person who's always been deep in my head like that. So I go to my basement at the time. I sit down. I grab a Heineken. My parents are Nigerian, so we had like these leftover, like from the Nigerian. I think there was a Christmas party that never happened. So there's a bunch of leftover Heineken. So I grab a Heineken. I sit down on a chair. I open it, and I just like start drinking. I feel a head rush, and I was like, wow. I was like, so this is what it's like, right? So then I drink like a couple, and I start to notice I'm blinking. So then from there on, I went to the party by myself, got there, and I was just so much more social than I've ever been. And everyone was like shocked, like, yo, yo, you're going crazy. And I was there, I was hitting on girls, I was super confident, So then I guess like, alcohol just became like this thing where I was like trying to chase that man who was like super confident, not as like antisocial the whole time, So then ended up leaving for basketball. I went to 4 schools in 5.5 years in America, prep school for 1 year, then JUCO in Casper, Wyoming at Casper College, Division I at the University of Montana in Missoula, Montana, then D2 after a transfer in Wichita, Kansas at Newman University. So alcohol was just like, partying, we're getting lit every weekend, so it's not really an issue. You're still sort of under this umbrella of society. Like you have like your 4 years grace in college. Mm. Then I start writing poetry. Junior year, it's a long story. Start writing poetry junior year. And I actually ended up writing a poem called Dear Alcohol. Mm-hmm. I used to take these mental health walks, and I would like walk to the liquor store in Wichita, Kansas. It was like a 20-minute walk. I didn't have a car or a license, so I'd walk there. And I was working as an overnight janitor. And I would just like come back to my room and write poetry while drinking alcohol. So I wrote this poem called Dear Alcohol. It's like 7 paragraphs, extensive, just like in depth, you know what I mean, about my relationship with alcohol. So time goes on, I end up becoming a music artist, and like a couple of these poems ended up turning into songs. Dear God was initially a poem. Dear Mom was initially a poem. And then I went on my first tour 3 years ago. I went on my first Tech 9 tour. It was 55 shows, crazy, getting, drunk pretty much every day. Then I went on my own tour that was 35, another tour that was 25. So I did 100 shows my first year of touring ever. And I went to LA and I was like drinking every night, going to all these events. Then the pandemic hit, so I was like drinking most of those days too. And it just got to the point where I was just like, damn, when was the last time I didn't drink? Mm. And then all of a sudden, Lex played a beat. And I said, I got wasted because I didn't want to deal with myself tonight. Boom. And then the song just happened. Mm. Yeah.
Okay. And I saw one of your videos. Well, I saw it was in March, and you mentioned that you were 30 days sober. So how long have you been sober now?
Now it's been 2 months. It was 30 days, March 23rd. Mm. So now it's been 2. I just haven't, I've said it on like my lives. I'm just trying to figure out what type of little post I want to do for it, but yeah, it's been over 2 months. So it's been great.
Oh my gosh. Amazing. I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
Of course, of course. So I know since I went on TikTok looking at the songs, I saw a lot of the duets were from people who personally have their own connection with alcohol or people that they know, and they've been making duets to the song. So how do you feel seeing how much of an impact that song has made for them? And how do you feel also knowing how much success it's had?
It feels great. I think what's interesting about like alcohol is that everyone can connect to it, either first person, second person, or third. It's either you're drinking, someone who is affected by it, or just like, we're all like You know how they say like we're 6 degrees of separation from everyone in the world? Like everyone's like 1 degree of separation from alcohol abuse.
Right.
You know, so I think it's super interesting to see all these people creating their own stories to this song via the TikTok challenge. And it's been great to see the success. I knew like when I made the song, putting it out was gonna be like a big thing because it was like I have to walk the journey as well. You know, it's like once I made the song, I was sitting on it for like, a month, and I was just like, if I put this out, I'm gonna have to stop drinking. I'm gonna have to go on this journey too. So it's just like it's been great to see the impact it's having on people.
Right, right. And the song is a little different from other songs that you made, especially it crossing into the genre of country music. So, how would you describe your musical style?
I call my genre impact. It's the impact genre. I have a lot of like different sounding songs depending on like how much someone has listened to me. I go from like, the Dear Gods to like the My Eyes Bleeds or the My Heart Hurts, where I'm just like singing. And then there's like songs, I'll rap for 20 minutes and just do all types of crazy stuff. So I would just describe it as impact. I'm big and focused on the words. I think sounding good is a prerequisite. I feel like once you start getting, to the higher, I guess, music or whatever it is, you have to sound good. So for me, the focus is really the words. So I don't get too concerned about where people put it because at the end of the day, I just want it to reach people.
Mhm.
But like I have a lot of like, I lived in Montana, I lived in Wyoming, I lived in Kansas. My dad's worked in Mississippi for years. So I've been around a lot of, quote unquote country. So
And you mentioned earlier how you started off doing basketball and then you got to college and you started doing poetry. So, what was the moment that made you really want to get into music?
so I finally achieved the goal of going to Division I basketball. I got to the University of Montana, got there, it didn't work out. As I was going over, Coach Tinkle calls me on the phone. He's like, "Hey, I'm transferring to Oregon State, but if you still want to come to the University of Montana, your scholarship's here." So I'm like, "Well, it's my only offer, so I'm coming." So I get there, it didn't work out. I got hurt. It was the head coach was Travis DeCurie. He was coming in from Cal. End of the year, they asked me to transfer, so I ended up going to Newman University, which was where I also went to prep school in Wichita, Kansas. So halfway through the semester, I needed a job. I became an overnight janitor, and they put me in the Dame Matias Hall, which was like the poetry section of the university.
Mhm.
So then I was just around all these events. I'm cleaning up, and like my whole life, I always thought like poetry was like for sissies or whatever it is. You know what I mean? It's not like something I would ever do. I'm playing basketball,
Right.
but I'm just around it so much, and I'm just like I'm pretty good with words. So then one day on the way to a game to play Arkansas Fort Smith on the bus, I wrote a poem, and I was just like I looked at the poem and I said, "Wow, I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing with my life." After just looking at the poem, and I showed it to a teammate, and he was like, "What the hell? You wrote that?" And I was like, "Yeah, bro, I just wrote that on the bus." And he was like, "That's crazy." So I just kept going from there. So like as soon as I wrote that first poem, that's when I knew that's what I was supposed to be doing because it just felt natural.
I think it's so amazing how when people get into certain career paths, it's like where I thought I was going to be, it's completely different to where I'm at now. So it's amazing how like you went through all these different steps and obstacles for you to like find your passion and you're really good at it.
Right. Yeah. Basketball closed its door. I mean, it's crazy because when I got to junior college in Casper, Wyoming, like
Mhm.
I remember I was getting my first like tattoos. I got my back arms from my parents. And then I got a tattoo right here back then. This is when I didn't even make music or do anything. And it's a deflated basketball. Right. And it was like the moon set on it, almost like me knowing basketball was coming to an end. And then I wrote a poem back then that said, "Here today, gone tomorrow. You brought me happiness along with sorrow. One day we'll part, but we won't end. To you, my heart, my faithful friend." And I wrote that to basketball. So it was like I was foreshadowing, that basketball wasn't going to be it, but I gave him so much to the game that it was just like, and doors kept getting closed. So when I finally found something that came like natural, I just like clung to it.
Mm, that's crazy. You are predicting your own
Yeah.
future.
Yeah. I'm big on speaking life into existence. Kind of right here
Definitely.
too.
Definitely. I think words reflect a lot of like the circumstances that we have in life. And I've been getting bigger into the whole manifestation concept
Mm,
that I definitely believe that words have a huge impact on us.
right. Yeah. I was lucky. I found the law of attraction at 11 years old
Mm,
in on YouTube with that video called The Secret. And that was like the day I went from just like existing to like living and being in control and really understanding that like, you know, God did grant us free will.
You made a TikTok video showing the creation process for the music video for Dear Alcohol. So, can you explain to me what that process was like, and what were some details of like the concept that you were trying to go for?
Yeah, so that you talk about the one where it's like me pouring the
Yeah.
that video is more just like for shits and giggles, like it was just a joke, but in reality, it was Logan Mice and Acer Santos. I've been working with Logan for like 4 or 5 years. He's actually from Kansas City, Missouri. So we were right there. And they have a insane team. It's really insane because like I've seen them grow from like really Logan from really small to like now, and then Acer, he's amazing, the whole team. So yeah, they put it together. They built the set the night before. The whole like water bed was like a pool. And they had to like install it. The water was cold. I'm like, can we please heat it? They heated it up. So like it was like a 2-day production thing. And they have a company called like Junie V, and they're just amazing. I pretty much work with them and another guy named Moses Israel on other projects. So yeah, they handle all that stuff. I just tell them like ideas I have, and they just put all that stuff together. They're insane.
That's amazing. I thought it was so cool, especially when you got into the water. I saw that you said it was cold a little bit. I'm like, I would have been freezing.
Yeah, it was heated, but it was still like cold because it was nighttime by the time we were filming that portion. So it was definitely a lot of my videos are really uncomfortable. I don't really. It's not that fun doing them, but it's nice.
But I think that's what gives it the unique aspect.
Right. Exactly.
What advice would you give to those who do personally struggle or know someone who struggles with alcohol?
My first advice would be to seek help, if you really struggle with it. I've been trying to like, tell people like, even with me, like this song is really just a testimony. I'm not an expert, so for me, the song has definitely helped catapult me into like, putting the bottle down. But people also got to understand like it's also the pressure of having like millions of people I'm sharing it with. So like for me to stop with the pressure of all these people I'm sharing it with the world is probably easier than for someone else who may just, like not have that feeling. So I would say seek help. I would also say try to the first thing I did is I got rid of all the alcohol around me. I felt like that was just like a step. Obviously I make music, so like alcohol is everywhere. When I go on tour, it's pretty much like that's the one thing I'm like I'm waiting until I go back on tour. I'm like that's really going to be the real test.
Mm.
But I even said I don't know if I'm going to stop drinking forever, but I know I just have to get out of the perpetual cycle. But yeah, I would say definitely find help. There's recovery centers, there's different things. Also changing your lifestyle. Sometimes like you may have people around you who may make it easier for you to drink, maybe because of the things they do. So it's like if you're going to change, like you might need to change a lot of different things around you. That's another piece of advice from me. Shit, pray.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Praying is a big
man.
one.
Yeah, I think it's just lifestyle habits. Like I'm a real like consistent person. So it's like once I get in a habit, like I can do it every day for I did what I did in basketball 10 years straight every day. So it's like I can get in a cycle, and that's sort of what happened with me and alcohol. So I had to break that cycle and introduce new patterns. It's like for a while it was energy drinks. Now I'm trying to get off energy drinks. So now then it was like McDonald's caramel iced coffee. And I'm like, I can't do this shit. Now I'm on Starbucks. You know what I mean? So it's like it's just breaking the perpetual cycle and trying to consistently replace it with something less and less and less and less until I'm drinking green tea. That's why I wrote that shit down. You know what I mean? Because maybe then I get addicted to iced green tea. So maybe I think that was some good advice.
That's definitely good advice, because I know people who personally do struggle with alcohol, and I constantly tell them, you have to be ready for it. No one can tell you what to do. We could best try and guide you, but you have to want to help yourself also.
One thing my mom told me, like, I remember even at one point, my mom told me I needed to stop drinking. She calls it the dark drink. She's from Nigeria. I mean, I'm Nigerian. You know what I mean? Right. The dark drink, Danny, please. But she even said, she's like, we all need something to get through life. It's very hard to just go through life completely just, with absolutely nothing.
Mm-hmm.
for her, I think at this point now she's drinking like black coffee.
Mm.
You know, so it's just, I guess it's just finding that thing and trying to like make sure it's not detrimental to your health.
Right.
You know,
right. I'm Haitian, so I know that my
surpassed,
not boule, you know.
hey.
So I know that black coffee, I know that's a big thing in my household. And so my next question for you is, most of your songs are topic driven and they make people talk about things most try to stray away from. So why is it important for you to include certain topics in your songs?
It's crazy because I don't choose topics, you know what I mean? I've always just been like a critical thinker and things just always like connect. So it's like, it's even, I wouldn't say it's almost impossible for me to like make a song that actually has no driven direction. Because this is like, for me, I never wanted to make music. I wanted to be like the Drake of poetry, of spoken word poetry. But then I realized that, you know, spoken word poetry didn't really have replay value. And my goal is to reach people. So it's like, I need to figure out a way to like weave this so I can reach more people, which is why a lot of my songs don't even have hooks. It's just from the beginning to the end. You know, like this song is rare with Daxs doing a hook and like boom, boom. I think it's important. I think music and poetry and rap, you know, which is acronym for rhyme and poetry. It's important to be able to tell the stories of the world, not only for myself, but for the future generation. So it's like, I want to make music that will make sense 100 years from now, 200 years from now, where people can be like, yo, this is still like, wow, okay. You know, not like flash in the pan. So it's important for me to be able to also tell reality. Like I say in this one song that's coming out later, it's like, I'm not an advocate for turning life into a movie, you know, because I don't live a movie lifestyle. I'm a normal person who was doing normal shit up until 22 years old, then randomly found poetry. You know, so 90% of my life I was never trying to be a music artist. You know, so my songs are just what people go through on a daily basis for the most part.
Right. Bringing reality to music. Gotcha.
Right.
And what is your creation process like? I know you say, you know, most of your songs don't have hooks and, you know, it just keeps going. So what is your creation process like when an idea comes to your mind?
Um, yeah, I don't ever put an idea until like when I did poetry, I would like sit there and okay, I want to write about this.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I make music, I don't ever write down stuff until I hear a beat. Once I hear a beat, I'll go from there and I'll do what comes naturally. And then once I like get maybe the first line, I'll think to myself, okay, what's the importance of this song? You know, for example, when I wrote the song Dear God, I was in the car, I played the beat off YouTube, and then I sat there while I was playing, and I was like, Dear God, there's a lot of questions that I have about the past. And as soon as I said that first line to myself, I was like, okay, this is one of the most important songs of all time. So now I need to take my time to craft it from beginning to end and make sure every single word makes sense. Mm-hmm. So the creation process is just, I sit, I come up with the first line or a couple lines, I determine the importance and whether like how important the song is how long I'll take like to write it.
What are the top 5 songs you'd recommend to someone who's never heard your music before?
Dear Alcohol.
Okay.
Dear God.
Okay.
My Heart Hurts. Joker, and then Book of Revelations.
Okay. All right. Yeah. That's a good list. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. The next one is fill in the blank. If you could meet any musical legend, living or dead, who would it be?
Probably Tupac.
Okay. All right. I can see that you guys would do a song together too.
Man, that would be a blessing.
I can definitely see it. I can see it. And if you weren't creating music, what do you think you'd be doing in life right now?
I'd be hooping.
Okay. What team? I'm a huge basketball fan.
It would have started off with a bunch of stints overseas. You know, I would have been on the overseas grind for a couple of years, and I would have made my way into the D League. And then from there, after probably 6 to 8 months of really just going on a tear through the D League and really being just a good purpose player who a team needs as a not necessarily a star, but just a good fit, good energy, I probably would have made my way to either the Lakers or maybe Sacramento.
Really?
Or the Raptors. I'm Canadian, so Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a huge New York Knicks and Golden State Warriors fan. So I was expecting you to say one of
Mm.
those two. I'm a little hurt.
Oh wow! No, New York's a tough place to play. I'm New York's lit. It's hard for me to live out there though.
Nah, I feel that. I
Very,
feel that.
you
There's
know.
a lot going on.
Yeah,
And what's the best advice you've ever been given?
I can just one, or I can say multiple.
I mean, you say as many as you want.
The first one, excuse my language, is fuck with people who fuck with you.
Okay, I agree.
That's some advice that I would just, man, like, um, don't listen to what people say. Watch what they do.
I'm very big
Um,
on actions over words.
right. Subconscious speaks a lot more than the conscious.
What's next for you? Do you have any special projects on the way? Tours? Like, what's next?
What's next for me is shoot. My goal is to first have Dear Alcohol touch the world.
Mm.
Um, I think now that the world is starting to open up, I think there was a really big rise. I mean, even statistically, and whether it was drug abuse, alcohol abuse, alcohol, I guess the drug, suicides, everything. I think Dear Alcohol is a song that people need, to break that perpetual cycle. Now that we're coming back out into the world more and more, and not carry those habits into everyday life. So that, and then just continue to put out more songs with an impact.
Mm.
And then obviously, shows and all the music artist stuff, do shows, make albums, all that.
Okay. I
Yeah.
love to hear it. And I can't wait to see how your career strides and the next steps that you take.
Thank you.